And welcome to another edition of South Texas Crossfire. This is Attorney Joe Flores reminding you to join us each and every week right here on KTMV with the Lopez family. Special thanks to Carlos Lopez and also his dad, Humberto. We honor and venerate him. He's passed away in 2011, but he's never forgotten. And I have the distinct pleasure of bringing on someone you're going to want to watch and you're going to want to listen to. And this is about windstorm. And if it doesn't affect you, that's what you think. Well, you're mistaken. So welcome our state representative, your state representative, Todd Hunter. How are you this morning?
Good to see you, my friend.
Well, sorry to keep you waiting. We got indisposed a little bit, but we're going to get you on here.
No problem.
And I like the new glasses.
Thank you.
I noticed that. And, my dentist, Dr. Mason.
Yes.
I'm going to give him a plug. Really great dentist.
That's right.
He watches us. It said, I'm so excited that we're going to have on Todd Hunter. Good. Because I just fear for our windstorm insurance, number one, and how we're going to pay all this. So can we just zoom back and just talk to me like I'm a 7-year-old and explain this? Because I don't think a lot of people understand what is going on with wind insurance, and everybody out there is smart people, but I don't get it. I mean, what has been going on, and what is all this hubbub about windstorm?
Well, here's just kind of what we call the plain talk on windstorm. And it really makes me mad because the 14 coastal counties in Nueces, Cameron, Aransas, San Patricio in our area, we even go down to the Willacy area, we go to Clayburgh, let's take our region. They're trying to say, you all live by the water, you must be treated different than the rest of the state. Now that's wrong. That's wrong. What they say is because we live by the water, a hurricane may show up and the risk could be terrible.
Okay.
Well, now hold it a second. Just last night in Central Texas, they had tornadoes and they had terrible rain and power outages out in Central Texas. Dallas had a $2 billion hailstorm. And Amarillo, who's always not necessarily looking out for the coast on this issue, had a $500 million storm. And Joe, the last time we had a hurricane was 1970. That was before Judge Jag was born. That's how long ago it was.
Big compliment.
There you go. And the water hurricane that we had was Allen in 80. But wind was Celia. We pay some of the highest rates in the state. We haven't had a storm since 1970. So we keep hitting this, but the issue is why? There is a perception that you live by the water, you must be punished. And I think it's terrible. Everybody comes down here. The Judge Jag and I were just talking about the seaweed issues, and we have all these people coming down here. They want to use the beaches, but they want us to pay. And I think that's wrong. I think we should be treated like everybody else. So what they've done is they've come up with a series of different ways to provide insurance. Here's what happens. Dallas, Amarillo, West Texas, Central Texas has a brush fire, a hailstorm, has terrible tornadoes. Well, those insurance companies have to pay those claims. When they pay the claims, they're not making money. So they spread the risk on everybody to pick it up. That's just the nature of the business. But when those areas of the state have problems, nobody wants to write and provide insurance to the coastline because of the perception that we'll have a big hurricane that comes in. But my attitude is the other areas of the state are causing us not to get the private insurance and to force us into the windstorm insurance. And then what they do is once you can't get insurance and you're put in this pool, they call it, they keep taxing you more and more and more to the point that it's ridiculous. I'll give you an example. 2 years ago, let's talk private market. I knew somebody here that was paying $6,200, and that's a modest home. because they're within 2,400 feet of the water. 1 year later, it went to $10,500
For insurance.
for insurance. This year, they got a bill for $15,000. Now hold it. Nobody else in the state is paying this. And I get concerned about our fixed income folks. You got a mortgage. The mortgage company makes you pay taxes and insurance. But if the insurance goes so high, that fixed income cannot pay the mortgage. So we could be in a situation where our people are punished. And I think it's wrong.
And just to reiterate for the people out there, the windstorm issue, as far as insurance, for the fixed income folk out there, which are mainly all of us,
Right.
that are paying a mortgage, basically broken down is that you can't get the regular insurance like Farmers or Geico to cover. And when they say windstorm, I don't think people really understand what wind-driven rain is. In other words, if somebody just says, I want to be covered in case a hurricane comes, what would you tell them?
Well, let me make sure everybody understands. Most people in the coastal bend have 3 insurance policies: windstorm, flood, and the insurance that goes for your fire if a fire hits your house.
Okay.
Inland folks generally have 1 policy. They don't have the other 2. So not only do we pay high for windstorm, we have to pay high for 2 other areas. But the bottom line is, for our fixed income folks, is we have to keep it, reasonable. We can't squeeze the whole coastal bend people out of the market. We have got to provide some reasonable rates. Let me show you another example. I will compliment Farmers. Farmers is actually writing in our area.
Thank you, Farmers.
There you go. But they're an example of a group who does provide. Now, I'm not going to say they're cheap, but they are providing some policies down here. I want to encourage the other industry. But let me tell you who I think the real culprit in this is. And I'm very verbal about this. You, me, we pay taxes, just like the coastal bend. Nobody likes to pay taxes, but we pay them. We pay like the rest of the state. Where does our tax money go? It goes to state government. Where does state government money go? It goes to the Texas Department of Insurance. Like other state agencies. You and I have worked on the Health and Human Services. But let's talk about the Texas Department of Insurance. So you and I pay taxes. All your viewers are paying taxes. That tax goes to the state government, and the insurance department takes that money. Yet that department made a decision to say, Joe, you and your viewers live in the coast by the water. We're going to tax your automobile policies, and we're going to tax all the farmers and ranchers, and you all are going to pay for your own windstorm. And by the way, nobody else in the state has to do it, just you people by the water. That's a state agency that did that. That is pure discrimination, in my opinion. So my attitude is, why do we need that agency? If all they're going to do is, every time they need to do something, is increase our rates and punish our people, I don't think we need the department. And I think maybe we need to introduce some legislation to reshape them. I've never seen them come down here to tell me anything positive. Every time I see them come down here is to say, we're about ready to punish you.
Mm-hmm.
And I held those hearings, and I know a lot of you were there, and we covered it, and you and I talked about it last time we visited. We had 400 people show up to Corpus Christi. They had hearings around the state. They told me that almost 90+% of the responses were against these terrible rules. Now, why'd they pass them? Generally, when you run a race, if you get 90%, you win. Mm-hmm. But these state agencies, you get 90%, you lose. So I think it's awful on how we're being treated down here. But I'm going to tell you this, I'm not just giving you a rant and a rave. I'm going to do something about it. The legislature does not go until January. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try to undo all these laws. I think they're awful. Number two, I think we need to redo these agencies and make them taxpayer, public, coastal friendly. And my attitude is there's different ways to do it, and hopefully as your viewers and listeners, they'll know that I am going to fight for this area. It's a passionate issue to me, and I plan to go in there and take on the agencies.
Well, and let me ask you from the consumer point of view that says, I want to contact an insurance agency, like Farmers, one of the few that's covering it. What do I ask for them to cover? Say if they live within a mile, say if they live off of Santa Fe in a modest home near Ray High School. They're still within 2,400 feet of the water.
What you should do is, and let me distinguish this, there are insurance agents. Your insurance agents are generally with us, just so everybody knows. The agents are basically the person in between the company and the people. So you're always go to your insurance agent, because the agents, they understand what I'm saying and what you're saying. So first thing, if they want to check coverage and want to check rates, check with like a Farmer's insurance agent. Go to your independent insurance agents, ask them, and they can tell you these companies write, these don't. By the way, you might have to go to the Windstorm Association, which is the quasi-governmental pool, or you may be able to get private insurance. So step one, contact an insurance agent so they can tell you who's writing at the time. Then the second thing you ask them is, what are the rates? Make sure you get the rates, because everybody charges a different rate, and so your listeners and viewers know the closer you are to the water, the private market's higher. And sometimes it doesn't make any sense, but that's how it is, so I want everybody to know. But shop it, and it's a good way. The other thing is the Windstorm Association today is chaired by Georgia Neblett. And she has been a promoter of the coastline and a promoter of the consumer. And so we are in good shape. She's from Port Aransas, and we do have a good person heading it. It's just that we don't have all the votes right now on that association, but we do have good things happening. But on market and finding out how much to pay, be sure and talk to the agents. And if you're fixed income and you've got a mortgage, also talk to the agents, because if you're getting a high insurance premium that affects your mortgage, they may have an option for you. But there are options, but I'm just disappointed that the coastal folks are not treated better.
Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're talking with your state representative right here in South Texas, Todd Hunter, affectionately known around here as Theo Todd, and he's educating us on windstorm. I think a lot of people don't understand what's going on. They just know that when their mortgage comes in the mail and they don't understand why it's gone up a couple of $100, $300, $400. And the example he used, the nightmarish example of going up from 6,000 to 15,000. This is real, and this is happening now. And we're going to be talking to Todd Hunter, especially now in hurricane season. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Have you been arrested or are potentially facing criminal charges? You need a trial attorney who is well-versed in the courtroom. Joe Flores has handled hundreds of criminal cases and many of them to trial. Joe Flores can provide you with competent representation to protect your constitutional rights in state and federal court. Joe Flores can help if you have been arrested or facing criminal charges. The law offices of Joe Flores, equal justice for all. Have you or a loved one suffered a stroke, heart attack, unexplained low blood pressure, or death during dialysis? The FDA has issued warnings and recalled the product Granuflo and Naturalite used in dialysis. At least one national company failed to warn the public that over 900 people had suffered cardiac arrest or death. A condition called metabolic alkalosis developed, which may have caused the harm. Call the law offices of Joe Flores today. With a combined 25 years of experience in the medical field and as a trial lawyer, Joe Flores can help. Call now.
Hi, this is attorney and board-certified nurse practitioner Joe Flores on behalf of Vasquez Flores Home Health. Nursing homes have their place, but having care in your own home is very important. Call today for more information. Backed by over 20 years of experience, registered nurse Priscilla Vasquez can answer your questions about home care. Call 881-9922. That's 881-9922 today. And we're back, and after a brief break, you're watching South Texas Crossfire with your attorney, Joe Flores, right here on KTMV, Channel 6, Time Warner. And we want to thank the Lopez family and our sponsors, Vasquez Flores Home Health, 361-881-9922. And also, we want to give you a little bit of a sneak preview. We're going to be bringing on Commissioner Joey Gonzalez, and we're also going to be talking about education. And so stay tuned on that. But with me again is our state representative, Todd Hunter. Welcome back.
Good to be
State
here.
Representative.
Good to be here.
Todd, as people that love and know you. I really want to thank you, first of all, for coming on. We're talking about hurricane season, windstorm, and just to recap, I think in my estimation, this is my opinion, not the station's, that this may be, as you may have said in the past, a redlining. We're about 75% Hispanic down here. On the 14-county coastline, we're getting, it's like a tax by the Texas Department of Insurance, where we're paying so much, but we don't see the same thing when tornadoes and things happen in Amarillo and Central Texas. So let's start back up again. You were talking about legislation that you're thinking of introducing that might revamp the Texas Department of Insurance. Can you tell our viewers about that, and especially now with hurricane season, fill them in on what's going on?
Sure. Well, first of all, so the viewers know, this idea to tax only our automobile policies and to go tax our farmers and our ranches only applies to the 14 counties. Nobody else in the state. So what do we have? 254 counties, 240 are exempt. Here's the thing that bothers me. One, they can't tell you how much it's going to be when they do it. Now, what does that mean? So they've got carte blanche to just increase it. And here's the other thing. What happens if you're an out-of-state owner? Your automobile policy isn't here. So what we've done is we've put a discrimination rule against coastal residents that promotes you to make sure you get automobile policies outside the state of Texas because they can't tax you. I mean, it's just bad agency government that I've ever seen. So I'm going to go stand up for the coastal bend. I'm going to stand up for all the South Texas region. Somebody has got to change these rules. And like I told you, when they even admit that they had all these hearings and almost everybody was opposed to them, why would you still run over the coastal residents? Nobody was for them. That sends you the bad message. So what am I going to do? First of all, I'm going to try to undo these rules. I think this is wrong. I think it's interesting, Joe, that they know we're not going to be in the legislature till January. So the rules happen in June.
Oh, boy.
6 months before the legislature goes in. My view on this, it was a public policy issue. It is a tax on our residents. They should have waited and let us do this when we went in January.
I agree.
You could have Senator Hinojosa, you could have Representative Herrero, you could have myself, Representative J.M. Lozano, we could get Senator Lucio, Representative Lucio, everybody up and down the coast. We could all be together working on a solution. But they said no. So my attitude is let's do these sort of things. Number one, I'd like to know who's all in there lobbying and visiting with the Texas Department of Insurance.
Exactly. People don't know what goes on behind the scenes.
Absolutely. So I think we should have a public webcast disclosure daily about who's logging in, coming in to see them. So if there's a bunch of lobbyists in there, or there's certain groups that are changing the rules against us, it's a public entity, public body, paid for by taxpayers. Let's have a daily web so that you and your viewers as taxpayers can see who's going into these offices having meetings.
Well, I'd like to see that. I think that transparency is the key. It's not
Absolutely.
fair that people out here really don't know, educating the public that 14 counties, us down to Cameron County, are paying and no one else.
That's correct. So let's find out who shows up. 2, state agencies. There's the sunset process. Sunset process says that each state agency, every 10 to 12 years, you review them to whether keep them, modify them, or change them. Well, I think that if Texas Department of Insurance doesn't care about us, why do I need to wait 10 to 12 years? So let's reduce them to 4 years, just like a senatorial run. Every 4 years, let's take a look at the Department of Insurance. Maybe we need to reduce them. Maybe we need to modify them. Or do we even need them? I haven't seen them do one thing good for the coastal residents. So what I want to do is change the rules so the public gets to have a little input on whether we keep this agency. So we'll be looking at these sort of laws. I think it's time for transparency. If you're going to tax us, then we want to know who's all involved. And these are the sort of rules that I'd like to pass in the legislature.
The viewers out there that want to get involved, that have gotten their bill in the mail for insurance, that have seen the increases, they live by Ray High School, they live by Weber, they're close by within half a mile of the water, and anybody down the coastline, what can the little guy do that's out there and just trying to make a living and pay his mortgage?
Well, the first thing is you tell me. You go to my website, which is electtoddhunter.com, go to that website, or call our office. And you know the office is either 949-4603, that's the local office, or they can call the Capitol office, 512-463-0672. You let us help you. And then eventually what I'm going to do is ask everybody to start sending their complaints and their concerns to the Department of Insurance.
Okay, that sounds like a good thing in the day and age of Facebook and emails. Sometimes calls just aren't enough, and I know that you're very responsive. We've gone over there in groups, and you always have an open door policy. You and Mr. Herrero and J.M. Lozano and Senator Hinojosa, when Joe Gonzalez, our commissioner, and I have gone up there, y'all are just wonderful. And so it's no bunk when you say you're our representative, you truly are. But to get under these guys, to be the burr in their saddle, so to speak, all of us in the 14 counties that are paying for this, if they would email, I'd like to see if we can post an email website somewhere. Where can they Google and find out more about Windstorm?
Well, to look on Windstorm, what you should do is go look on your web. When you go to the internet, put under Texas Department of Insurance, and go to the Texas Windstorm Insurance Association. And there are some consumer groups out there too. One is Texas Watch is on the web, where you can go to that. And there are various of the specific insurance companies that everybody uses. You know, you have all the name brands. You can put them in, and when you get to their sites, push Windstorm. That's where I would tell people to go to educate themselves. And they can always go to my website, electtoddhunter.com, and we have a Windstorm section. But we're here to help. You know, it's not many people are talking about it. That's why I appreciate you. People are going to get hit with this, and we don't even know what the amount is, and we don't even know when. but all we know is it's just us. And so I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to educate the viewers and the listeners so that they know this sort of thing happens. Because this is what we don't need in government, is a punishment of the people. What we really need is a government action where people are to be taken care of. And so I appreciate you bringing me on.
No, it's my pleasure, and I'm glad we have a site like electtoddhunter.com where they can go to and learn more, and then they can Google. Ladies and gentlemen out there, this is serious. When you pay for your house, when you're living there and you're just trying to live the American dream, it can turn easily into a nightmare. If we're going to allow the Texas Department of Insurance to keep pushing and increasing, it affects everybody. You want a house, you're going to have to pay for that. And just because we're 5% or less of the counties in Texas and we're getting discriminated against. Todd Hunter, your representative, last 30 seconds, knocking on thousands of doors. I hear very good things about you, from Dr. Mason, my dentist, to everybody out there, Democrat, Independent, Republican, because you stand for us, and that's what I appreciate. The last 30 seconds, what do you want to tell our viewers?
Always remember, we're South Texans first. We're coastal residents, but we're South Texas. The great thing about our region of the state is we stick together. We work together. The best thing for the state and the nation, as well as local, is for we to continue to make sure they know where South Texas is, that we stand together, and we are now becoming the leader of the state with all this different type of business that's moving in here. So thank you for promoting the South Texas area, and I'm proud to be a South Texan.
Well, thank you very much. And Todd Hunter, our state representative, don't you forget it, electtoddhunter.com, and that information's coming up on the screen. Dave's going to take care of that. And please come back and let us know your progress. We're going to be playing this throughout hurricane season up until the fall, and we're going to be playing this so people can educate themselves. Thank you.
Good to see you, my friend.
electtoddhunter.com. We're going to take a break, and I'm going to bring on two of my favorite guests too as well. We've had a great morning, and we're going to be talking about justice, about taxes, and everything that affects you. So we're going to be back. We take a break.